Hi, I'm Judy Fancher, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction.
Hi, I'm Samantha Higby. I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math, two classes, a 7th grade C-STEM, 8th grade C-STEM, and a 7th, 8th elective. I'm at Orange Grove Middle School in obviously Hacienda La Puente.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marissa Blessum. I teach 7th grade math and science at Cedar Lane Middle School.
Hello, I'm Wendy Wilson. I teach 7th grade math and science, and I teach 7th and 8th graders C-STEM as an elective at Valinda School of Academics.
Hey everyone, my name is Teresa Magpayo Castro. I am a technology TOSA for Hacienda La Puente.
Hello, Ricardo Recinos, another Tech TOSA for Hacienda La Puente.
Thank you so much. We'll hand this over now to Dr. Fancher.
Thank you everyone for introducing yourself. And I do want to share that the people who are presenting today, they were our early adopters. We, flew this up the flagpole. We had C-STEM, we had UC Davis come and present to principals and some interested teachers. And this team has really carried the banner, as Dr. Jimenez has said, for C-STEM. I don't know where we would be without you. This group of educators, they would get together on their own time. We didn't even know they were doing that. They were so excited about it. So we did, carve some hours out for them. Teresa and Ricardo, we dragged them into the training. Well, not really drag, they're always into anything techie. And they jumped on board. And so what I also want to share is that the teachers were not coders, I don't believe, before all of this started. Maybe dabbling in it. I know I took a basic in college in 1983, something like that. But I really do want to share that this team that you're going to have a chance to meet today has really been a foundation of our C-STEM success. So with that, can I have the next slide, please? So I'm sure that we've all seen this when we talk about equity, equality, equity, and the reality. These are some of the new pictures that are coming out. You see, the reality is that some kids are just so far behind and they can't even see over the fence. They're buried so deep, and then others have so much access. So we really do strive to continue to level the playing field. Next slide, please. And then here's another set of pictures that comes on, with equality, equity, reality, and liberation. Let's remove the fence altogether. Let's remove those barriers. Next slide, please. But what I really appreciate was this that I heard the other day in a different Zoom for a different reason with C-STEM. And Dr. Eduardo Moscato said, we need to close the disparity gap. And that was the first time that I've heard it stated like that. I don't know if it's his originally, but I wrote that down because I thought that is so encapsulates what our vision needs to be, that we need to provide opportunities for all students so that all of our students have access. The next slide, please. Because really, this is what we want. I would posit that we need to have an additional picture where the kids are in the game. They are the ones playing, they're on the field, they're not on the sidelines, and then eventually they'll become our coaches, our teachers, and they're going to start the next generation of learners. So we'll just stay here for a little bit. Actually, we go back to that slide. Thank you, because I have a little bit more to say here. So as Dr. Jimenez has pointed out, C-STEM is important for our mathematics, and math is a significant barrier to our students. It used to be that literacy was the barrier, and now it has become mathematics. Students get stuck in community colleges because they cannot complete their math courses. And so we really have to focus on the math because that has been the new gatekeeper. That is the fence that is coming up for many of our students. So math is really the gateway. And UC Davis C-STEM has been partnering with districts for over 15 years. And when we first saw the data that they had come out of Oakland, we thought we want to try this for our students so that they too can be super successful and hyperachieving in math. We had been making consistent gains in mathematics. We had paid tremendous attention to it. We had summer math academies when Common Core was rolled out. We had 3 days of 6 hours of training, all together, all grade levels, and it really was supportive. We did that for 4 summers, and we were seeing gains in our math, but we were not seeing significant gains. We were making the gains that, inch us up and kept us, ahead of that curve for the dashboard, but we knew that we needed something more, and that's where CSTEM comes in. CSTEM aligns with our curriculum. It's standards-based. We have grown from 7 teachers to 19 to 33, and we have more than that. Sorry, and then 39 of our teachers are actually elementary teachers. So we have expanded this throughout the grade level. It's not everywhere. We're still working to expand it, especially into the high schools. We have a few teachers there, but the middle school has really been the instruments of change, I have to say. Next slide, please. So with math in the middle, we're looking to build confident learners. And as you're going to see in a little bit, they're problem solvers, they're confident, they're collaborative, they have creative minds, they envision the possibilities, so they are coding their way into confidence. And at this point, if Teresa or Ricardo, if you could please play the video, and then we'll hand it over to our teachers. Let's see the kids in the game. The goal of CSTEM is to have all students become proficient in mathematics so that they have options and opportunities. They might become computer scientists, but regardless of their profession, the ability to think, problem solve, think logically, and complete mathematical tasks will increase their likelihood for college admission and/or opportunities after high school.
I love seeing the kids get excited and design things that, exceed my expectations. Kids who normally may struggle in a math class, may be exceeding in this class. And, a lot of kids love to come to this class. So, it's definitely a passion of mine to keep pushing the boundaries of CSTEM.
One thing I really like about CSTEM is it gives a chance for the kids to use math when they don't realize they're using math. They can do art, or they can do measurement, or they think they're racing cars or robots, and it's all mathematical, but they don't realize that that's what they're using.
I really enjoy teaching it. In fact, it's my favorite class. The kids seem to do really, really well in the math class where they haven't really succeeded before, but with the programming and use of the robots, has really motivated them to learn different aspects of the math and to and actually take it in and be able to apply it to something else. That's what I've noticed with CSTEM.
I always like visual. I'm a very visual person. When it's done, I like seeing how the end result looks. I guess that encourages me to keep on going, I guess.
So I think the link bots themselves are what really sets apart CSTEM from the other classes.
Actually, when I started doing math, I wasn't the greatest at it, and that was always my main struggle. And now that I started doing CSTEM math, it's actually a lot easier, and it helps me understand more watching the robot.
Thank you for watching our video with us, and I want to thank all the participants and Teresa and Ricardo who create our videos and put those together for us. So with that, that concludes my portion, and I would like to hand it over so that you can hear from the real experts, the teachers who are using this every day.
All right, it looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulty, so I'm going to go ahead and step on in. So let's go ahead and go with our first question. What steps did you take to help set up your teachers and students? And I think this would be geared towards
that's me, Teresa and Ricardo. So before the real experts come in, we're going to go first. you know, we were with our teachers who were so excited after the training. Some of you might have experienced that already. And then they were ready to go and they're like, wait, how do I get my kids set up on this? So we did our best to support them because our goal really is equitable access for all our students. So we wanted to make sure it was easy. And so we created videos for the teachers to show them how to enroll the students properly. We made videos for the parents and the students on how to log on and provided those. We also created, here's a sample of one of our letters to provide to families so that they know how to enroll. And Ricardo is going to talk a little bit more about that and how that worked for our district.
So one of the big barriers we had was access, especially during distance learnings. How do we get our our first graders to log into Roboblockies? So by using our ClassLink SSO Launchpad, we were able to set up Roboblockies as a single sign-on app, and our teachers added their Roboblockie class inside of our Canvas LMS, and it's just one click to log in and one click to join the class. And this allowed all of our students to be able to log in without any issues. In addition to that, we love having our kids go through ClassLink because it provides a lot of analytics and data for us, things that we can see how our students are accessing the program, what they're doing with it, how much time they're spending with it. So we wanted to make sure that we had one way for all of our students to log in and to be able to join our classes. And that's how we did it.
That's fantastic. I love the data. Data can really be useful to help us not only make more broad sweeping decisions, but also in the classroom, collecting data and using data to alter our curriculum and lessons. So let's go to the next question. Why does hands-on learning make a difference?
Hello, everyone. It's Marissa again. Well, for me, I think hands-on learning makes a difference because it creates deeper learning. You know, the kids have a more personal investment in it, and they're able to make those real-world connections. And one of the things I've noticed, especially with this year with the group that I have right now, is I've seen like a spark of interest in computer coding that I know may not have been there before. So, you know, possibly getting these kids and putting them in a direction they may not have thought about before, you know, is definitely, you know, it's exciting to see. You know, a couple of the things that we've been doing in the class, you know, from the picture here, we've done the maze. And one of the other assignments that I gave the kids was proportions. And so you can see right there with the fish, you know, I had them create design of a fish, and then I had them create it twice the size. And so, you know, they're doing the math without realizing that they're doing the math.
You know, one thing that I noticed, the hands-on learning makes such a difference, is that students actually take ownership of what they're doing, what they're learning. As you can see, some of the students, they're watching the robots, they're making them go through the maze. In the images, they also see that what they're learning is useful, and they see the math taking place. They see why they want to do it. Why do we want to make that snake half the size or twice as big? Why do they want to draw that line? Why is that line important when they're doing slope? Why? They see the reason for math, I guess, is why hands-on learning makes such a big difference.
It sounds like you're creating a need for them to use the math.
Yes, that's exactly what we are doing, and we're doing it through code. I mean, as you can see, we're having them code it and get it up and get it going.
I also think the other thing that we notice is they can make real-time adjustments versus, I mean, sometimes when you're doing math, they don't see their mistake. But if your robot, if you program to move him 90 degrees and he goes 45, they immediately know they've done something wrong. So they can immediately make adjustments and see the result right away. I also think, especially with using Roboblockly and the robots, they're able to try things out, and it doesn't matter if you mess up because you just erase it and you try it again. And so they're able to just keep trying without having any sort of feeling bad about it. And they can just adjust and keep working.
Sounds like resilience and perseverance.
There's a lot of that goes on in the class. Yes.
So just a follow-up question. Why would you say that? Can you elaborate just a little bit on that?
You know, it's like in a traditional math class, there's times when the kids want, I mean, they have it's easier. I don't know why it is, but it's easier for them to give up. But when they're working with the robots and they're not going the right way, I guess it's more like a video game for them. And a lot of times kids don't give up on video games. So when they're working with robots and, they're working with art or, the designs or whatever we have them working with, they're less inclined to give up. And so there is that perseverance there. And it's really exciting to see because you can see the frustration, but once the light bulb clicks, they love it. They love it. And, they love coming to this class.
If I can also add is that at my school, it's the lowest of the low who are in our CSTEM class. So the kids who automatically get it really quick aren't there. So they have to persevere. They cannot sit back and wait for somebody else to do it and tell them what the answer is. So there's no choice but to move forward and keep trying and keep getting it done. So.
And I think sometimes they look to me and I'm like, I don't know. Like I am not the expert here. You are. It's your code. So they have to find it themselves. And I mean, they've given up looking at me. They know I don't know. So they rely on each other. They don't look to me for an answer. So they keep working at it and they work together in teams, or they will look to another friend who's been successful, and that kind of takes the ownership back on them. They don't look for me as their expert or to be right.
I know this is an unplanned interruption, but both of you brought up excellent points, all of you are, but that this was targeted towards our students who are struggling in math. We didn't intend for this to be an enrichment for students who are already successful at math. The focus really was as an intervention and to give students their confidence. And then, the teachers that you see before you, they're willing to let go, and to learn alongside the students, which is also a very powerful part of this program.
So I wanted to show right here these pictures that I have. These were created on Roboblockly. And what I did was I had the kids, I took a traditional coordinate grid graph art and I had them connect the lines through Roboblockly. And well, first I had them do it on paper. I did want them to do it on paper first. And then from there, I did have them create this on Roboblockly. And it was during Halloween time. So I had them do the Halloween, but as you can see, I adjusted this for different levels. So I differentiated, from the easier one, which was the ghost, to the more time consuming, challenging one, which the student got it done really quick, which was the Millennium Falcon. But, they all of them were able to get this finished. And, once they got the pattern of it, they were able to, get it done with confidence.
That is fantastic. We do have a couple questions in the Q&A. I was going to hold off until we get through those, and then we'll address the questions that are in the panel. Questions in the Q&A section. So this question is, why hands-on learning makes a difference? Is there something else that you all would like to elaborate on this part? I think you've.
Yeah, I mean, I think just as you can see the level of detail that the kids put into this, and the questions that they have to answer, in order to complete these assignments. So, for example, the snowman right there, one of the biggest challenges with that is the students had to create the different levels of the circles. And so that for some kids was the challenging part. So they had to understand that, they had to place them at different points. So I found that, a lot of the students that didn't have they had a better understanding of coordinate grids and the X and Y coordinates a lot better after doing this assignment. Also, you know, with the triangle for the nose, they had to know where to plot the points. So, you know, these kids were able to get a better understanding of points and where they go on the coordinate grid. And so just seeing my RSP students create these kind of designs, it was really great to see.
I would like to add, if I can, that there's different type of learners, and math often is you do it, I do it, you do it, or I do it, we do it, you do it. This gives them the opportunity here, try to solve this. And they get the hands-on, why am I doing this? And they get to see why. It's not just, okay, I got to do this for the math class. It's kind of fun. So if it's hands-on, they're figuring out what to do, not just what to do in it, not just doing it because they're told. I don't know if that made sense, but I'm trying.
No, I think you put that very eloquently. Let's see. Let's go into this next slide, in-person versus distance learning. Can you guys explain what's going on here?
So the difference between in-person versus distance learning, you know, when we were on distance learning, we had to do a lot more RoboBlockly. So there was a lot more RoboBlockly assignments being created, and versus in person, which we're using the link bots and you know, Arduino boards. You know, for example, you can see the mazes there, and so just the difference between that, but being able to do both of them, you know, being able to code. You know, it's kind of a different mindset, but you know, all the same, the kids are still doing the RoboBlockly. They're still learning how to code and program.
We can still do very similar items because you're online versus in person. You're just using the robots because you can't send the robots home. As you can see, the center picture is two robots. Kind of, they're dancing. Actually, I call it dancing robots, where they actually are learning the different movements the robots can make. And underneath that, you can see RoboBlockly code. They're doing the exact same thing, but they did it through RoboBlockly instead of coding. So there's the slight difference between the two, but they're still learning the processes of math, and they're still doing it in a hands-on way, but without having the robots with them distance learning. They still learn math.
I've got a question for you, and it's Roxanne again. Thank you, Jeff, for getting me dialed back in again. When we went back to hybrid learning experiences, did any of you experiment with having the students on the virtual platform work with the in-person students?
We were not actually in person for the entire last year. We were virtual for the entire year last year.
Got it. So moving along to our next slide, unless we have any other questions about in-person versus distance learning. What is the difference between CSTEM as a math class and as something other like an elective? Again, I think of how we view CSTEM robotics. Oftentimes the teachers may have the mindset this is an additional experience. So if you could please help us understand how you bridge that difference as well.
So for my class, I have it as an elective, and I have in my class, I have 6th through 8th grade. So it's multiple grades, and it's multiple abilities. The year before we went on distance learning, I had several SDC kids in this class. And so it really is a wide range of math abilities, a wider range of learning skills. And so, you know, you have to, when you have it as an elective, you have to think about that the kids may not all be at the same math levels. And so the class is adjusted more, taught like as a computer science class with programming and learning the math. So it's adjusted more towards learning the math rather than, you know, here we've already the kids have already learned the math in class, and now we're applying it. So it's kind of like we're introducing them to some of those things. So for example, my sixth graders, they really, the word variable for them, is sort of being introduced at that time. So, as in the class, we're talking about variables all the time, and putting variables in. And so they're getting that introduction, they're getting that knowledge through the programming. And when they come to class, they're, when they're in their math class, all of a sudden it's like, didn't we learn that in math? Or didn't we learn that in C-STEM? And it's like, we learned that in C-STEM. You've been learning math, you don't realize it. And so, they're, also the other thing too, is that activities can vary greatly. So, one of the several of the things that we do in there is, we'll do CHIDE, then we'll do RoboBlockly. And then, the kids may one week be doing art. They may be doing what I call makerspace. This week I have them doing makerspace, which, pretty much I took everything out, all the link bots. I took out all the parts and I said, here you go. And I want you to make an animal, like make an animal. So the kids have been designing their own animals. It's been crazy. It's been controlled, what I call controlled chaos. But the kids have been making their own animals, and they've been getting creative. They've been having to collaborate. And it's been really interesting to see. They've been using multiple robots, which is something that I've talked to them about really, and they've used it on RoboBlockly, but they've never used it that much with the link bots. So to get them, all collaborating, and I pretty much have told them, you're on your own with this one. You guys create. This is your chance to do makerspace, to do what you want. And so it's been really cool to see them all collaborating, getting all excited about this, and creating these great animals, and so that's, that brings that STEAM aspect into the class as well. So that the other thing too that makes this class different is that, as an elective, is that it's definitely much more project based. As you saw, we have the dancing robots. One of the other pictures there is the self-portrait. We have them creating the self-portrait. And I added this in here, but it's, I actually did this with my science class. I had them create an oxygen atom. So the oxygen atom, and I know I'm kind of changing it, but I do have my kids for my science class. I do have them sometimes do, I have them do RoboBlockly and C-STEM in their science class. So I don't have it necessarily in the math class, but I have it in the science class, and I had them create an oxygen atom through RoboBlockly.
Marissa, that's fantastic. And I would love to see examples of the animals that your students are creating. And as you're speaking, I'm thinking about the words shared this week: low floor, no ceiling, access for everybody, the connection to real world career pathways, and high engagement, and including all students. I think sometimes there's trepidation about introducing C-STEM to maybe a SPED group of students, but no, it works for everybody. Thank you so much.
I just want.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you do. Thank you very much.
I was going to say I actually teach 2 C-STEM math classes, 1 7th and 1 8th, and I do teach 1 7th, 8th, and elective class. And one of the differences that I see is the main thing is the projects versus the actual math. I'm using our math book alongside our C-STEM math textbook. They have 2 textbooks, and we're meshing them together. So on every time they do something in math, they're looking forward to using it on the robots, or using it in CHIDE, or using it on RoboBlockly. And in the elective class, as Marissa said, it is very much a project space.
Yes.
So that's what I see as the difference. I'm sorry. I know we're running.
No, you know what? And time is our enemy, and I forgive me for cutting you short, but we do need to move along. And as we continue into the next question, how does C-STEM instruction help struggling students? How do we turn around those fixed mindsets to the growth mindset? And I'm keenly interested for the middle school math class.
Sam, I think that's you.
Okay, sorry. Well, one of the things is the students all start at the same place. So normally when you walk into a classroom, you have the high, you have the low, and most kids are somewhere in the middle. But when they walk into C-STEM, at least in the 7th grade, most of them have not seen this program before. Because at my school, we're not teaching it in 6th grade at the moment. So they don't know what it is. So the playing field is leveled. So they all walk in, they all don't know the coding aspects of it. And then once they learn the coding, we find that some of the lowest of the low students are actually rising to the top because they're getting it and they're understanding it, and they're asking and they're being asked questions by other students. How did you do that? You know, can you help me over here? And that gives them such an ego boost. And you saw that in the video where one of the students said, you know what? I'm now getting math. And she is getting math. She's getting it. She's into it. People are asking her questions. So she's happy and excited.
So we see all the learning modalities, the hands-on, and the students engage at very high levels. They are liberated. They are liberated. And all of us who are working with C-STEM, we see the same, I call them the miracles. We see students who discover their gifts that have been there all along. Thank you, Dr. Cheng. Thank you for C-STEM. So our final question, any advice, Team Hacienda La Puente, for those starting with C-STEM? Or is there something you wish you knew when you were starting? Gosh, this is a great question.
I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to say right now, there's great programs within the C-STEM curriculum. There's the robotics activities. Dive in, get those. There's PowerPoints that are there. Use those. Don't be afraid to just hand it over to the kids and let them figure out what they want to do if it's an elective. In the math, you might need a little bit more structure, but go ahead and give them the problem and try it, figure it out, and they will rise to the challenge.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't be afraid to dive in. Just go ahead and just start doing it. Don't be afraid. And also too, if you can, group up with other teachers and collaborate, because that was a lifesaver in the beginning. That definitely, helped us to, get over that fear and challenge yourself.
The first year we started, I was lost, and I told the kids, okay, I don't really get this. Let's give it a try. And they taught me. I mean, they're not afraid. So you open up that computer and they'll push buttons and they'll do all kinds of stuff that I would be like, I don't know if I'm going to mess this up. So they were like, hey, I figured this out. Hey, I figured this out. And so we actually learned together that first year. My first group and we learned a lot together. And then I would go back and meet with these two and we would go, oh, look what we learned this week. And we'd share and we'd go back and try again. But there are so many choices in here. If there's an area you're not comfortable with, you don't have to start there. Start somewhere else. And, here we are a few years in, and I'm doing things with my class this year that I'm like, ooh, I was kind of afraid of that the first round. And now I'm kind of feeling more comfortable. And like I mentioned, they're not afraid, so they'll just go for it. So the one thing about it is I remember that first week we left and I thought, I have no idea how I'm going to teach this class. I literally don't know what I'm going to do. And within a few weeks we were rolling and it was fine.
Fantastic. And I just want to say, what we're hearing is jump in with both feet, teachers. Be fearless, take risks, and our students will be our teachers. Thank you so much. Any final thoughts from Team Hacienda La Puente?